I got distracted, but in a good way. Hello and welcome back to the Jean May channel. My name is Paula Jean, and I know I'm supposed to be working on the knit projects that I outlined in my December plans video, and I am doing that. I actually just finished one. I changed the plan a little bit. It's super cute though, and I'm excited to show you at a later date. But today I'm going to be sharing something different because Casey over at Pattern Scout invited me to be a part of the testing team for her newest pattern. So I let myself do that little side mission, and that is what I'm going to share with you here today. If you are looking for a super quick, satisfying sew that is an easy to fit, very versatile knit dress, then you will probably want to check out the Mia dress pattern. This is a mock turtleneck, long raglan sleeve style knit dress that is pretty fitted through the bodice, but it has this fit and flare skirt that is really nice and comfortable, and it hits at about midi length and has a beautiful high-low hemline that makes it look just a little bit more elegant. It comes in Casey's full extensive size range, and as always she offers bust cup sizes, so you have different bodice pieces for B, C, and D cups. And as I mentioned, this is meant for knit fabrics, so the recommended fabrics for this should have a minimum of 50% horizontal stretch. For my final version, I used a rayon blend cable sweater knit that I got at Joanne, who is sadly mostly going out of business. I will still leave the fabric linked below because I think they're going to be still available online for a little bit as they're kind of going through the stages of liquidating their stock. So I'll still leave it linked below. I've worked with this fabric before. I had it in another colorway and I made another garment out of it, so I already knew that I loved working with the fabric. It's a really nice weight. It's got a little bit of gush to it, and but it's not a heavy sweater knit. It's just super comfortable. So this is a really simple and straightforward design, but there are still a few elements that I just want to highlight for you. I had mentioned that it's easy to fit, and part of what makes that true is that it has a waist seam. So if you're somebody like me who tends to have to do a sway back adjustment or a short torso adjustment, that is really easy to do, especially with a knit pattern with a waist seam. The fit and flare skirt part of it also has a center back seam that is curved or shaped, so you can easily make an adjustment to accommodate the curvature of your bum and your hips. And then the other thing that I really appreciated about this was the drafting of the mock turtleneck pattern piece. So I have a particularly short neck and I have a curvature at the top of my spine, so things are really kind of squished back there. And I have worked with turtleneck patterns before that some of them just have kind of a straight rectangle, especially if it's just a mock neck. And this piece is actually shaped. So it's shaped with a curve at the center back seam, so it kind of contours to your neck a little bit better. And then it's also shaped horizontally as it comes up along the back neckline. So you end up with a piece that is shorter in the back than in the front, which is how most humans are built. I did a slight little adjustment to make that a little bit shorter at the back for me, but I find just in general that piece is really thoughtfully drafted, and I really appreciated that. And when I say that this is a quick sew, this is a project that you could make in a day, especially if you're sewing it all on your serger, which you could do. You don't have to have a serger, obviously, you just need a machine that does a zigzag or a lightning stitch. Now, I was using this sweater knit, as I said, and even though it's not very thick, it does have a little bit of like gushiness and spring to it. And I find when I'm working with any knit that has a little bit of weight to it, it's actually, I get smoother seams if I just do a regular like narrow zigzag or lightning stitch on my regular machine and then press those seams open. And that's what I did with this dress. And obviously with knits that you don't have to finish the edges of the seams because knits don't unravel, but I'm a little bit of a crazy person this way. So I did go ahead and serge the edges of all of my pieces before sewing them together on my regular machine and pressing them open. And I know that I'm the only person who's going to see that, but you know, that's just the kind of sewist I am. But even with doing that, I still made this dress super, super quickly. Another little tip that I have found works really well for me when I'm sewing knits with any kind of a thickness to them. Not every machine has this, but on the top of my machine, my standard machine, I have a little dial that adjusts the pressure of the pressure foot. And when I'm sewing with these kinds of knits, my dial goes from 1 to 3. And so when I back it off to a 2, I find that helps to mitigate any waviness that would come from there being a little too much pressure on that pressure foot on a knit fabric. So if your machine has that, you might want to try that out and play with that a little bit so you get nice smooth seams. Even though this sweater knit is not very heavy, like I would classify it as a mid-weight, but it does have a really good drape and it kind of weighs when you, like there's weight to it when you hold it. So rather than letting the dress, you know, gradually drag down to the floor, and because it has that high-low hemline that dips down in the back, I decided to remove about 1.5 inches from the length, and that seems to make it sit where it's supposed to on me. I don't think that I would have to do that if I was using a lighter knit fabric though. I love this dress as a basic layering piece. It's a great canvas for all kinds of like jewelry or belts or different styles of footwear. If you know me at all, then you know I love a good vest moment, and I have several vests and corset tops that I've made over the years that I think look really great with this dress as well. Something else that I wanted to mention about the Mia. So the only reason I'm not wearing it today in the video is because it's like sunny and 75 here, and I'm sorry if that's like causing anybody who's in the central and eastern part of the continent that is buried under thousands of centimeters of snow. I'm really sorry to throw that in your face. But it's quite sunny and warm here today. I'm actually wearing the Vivi dress, which is another Pattern Scout pattern. And it's sort of, these two dresses, the Mia and the Vivi, are similar to me because in the video that I did about this dress, I mentioned that you can kind of use the pieces of the pattern to make separates. And you could do the same thing with the Mia. So the top part of it, you could easily extend the length of the bodice down and just have a great raglan mock neck sweater. And then you could also use the skirt part, like just extend the top a little bit and put an elastic waistband on the top of the skirt, and you have a great knit skirt pattern. So that's kind of how those two relate to me, in that they are kind of basic patterns. One is a knit, one is a woven, and you can separate the pieces out to get really a lot of use out of these patterns. So that's something to consider when you're taking a look at them. I also ended up having some leftover fabric, and I have the Cape Cod capelet pattern from Itch to Stitch. And I made up this pattern as a Christmas gift for my cousin-in-law several years ago, and I've always wanted to make one for myself. And as I was playing with the pieces, I managed to eke out one of these for myself. So that's what I used the leftover fabric for, and I really love how this turned out as well. So this is again, a super simple pattern, very quick sew. I came out years ago. I will obviously link it down below along with the Mia dress pattern, but I really like the raglan style lines of the raglan pieces. It's a little bit more, not fitted, but I don't know what other word to use for that. I really like that that it comes kind of lower in the front and kind of curves up on the arm. So this is something that I wear around the house. I, wore it out to the beach. It's just a really nice layer to put on when you want something, a little bit cozy, but you don't want to put on like a sweater or a sweatshirt or something like that. And because of the way that the hemline curves up on the arms, it means that it doesn't get in the way. Like I can even like do do dishes with it and stuff like that. So really, really like it. And if you saw my last video where I had altered a sweater that I have, and I had these pockets that I had removed, and I saved those pockets and I used it to stitch on some snaps on the sweater that I was altering, but I had another pocket left over, so I unraveled that and I ended up having enough yarn to do a really simple blanket stitch around the edge of the hem and around the edge of the neckline. And I really love how this turned out, not only because I was able to upcycle something from an alteration that I did, but I also think it just adds a little, handmade touch to it, and just a little bit of variegated color, and makes it something that's just a little bit more special. I also really like that it's kind of a turtle / cowl neck, but it's a little bit wider. So you could put this over a turtleneck, like I can put it over the Mia dress, and it works just fine because there's space for that. Or if you have like kind of a bulkier sweater and you just want another layer of coziness to put on top, there's space for that. And or you can fold it over and it's got kind of a slight cowl to it, but not like a deep cowl. So I really like the balance there. So that is the Mia knit dress and the Cape Cod capelet by Itch to Stitch Patterns. As I said, I will leave both of those patterns linked in the description box below. I know that Casey is working on a sew along for the Mia. I don't know if it's out yet, or it might be out by the time I'm editing this video. Whenever it does get posted, I will put that link in the description as well. So I am going to get back to my other knit projects that I hope to be sharing with you very soon. And in the meantime, please take great care of yourself. Take social media and media breaks, and I will see you in the next one.